Okay, so I get a million different messages every day asking me about plant-based diets for bariatric surgery patients. I can't believe how many times I get this question. It is obviously something that people are very desperate about because, for those of you that don't know about bariatric surgery, post-bariatric surgery, patients are told to eat protein and eat a lot of protein. And in fact, if you've read my book, Proteinaholic, you know that I once wrote a book called The Expert's Guide to Weight Loss Surgery, where I told people, eat a lot of protein, eat your protein first, meat before vegetables. Can't believe I told people to eat meat before vegetables, but that's what I did. And that was based on what we call grade D evidence, meaning that was expert opinion. And where do these experts get their data? The data is so small and so unreliable as to how much protein a bariatric surgery patient needs. In fact, one study showed that bariatric surgery patients that ate a higher protein diet lost more weight. But here's the caveat. The people that were doing the gastric bypass in that surgery were making really long limbs, meaning they were creating malabsorption of protein. In your standard gastric bypass, you don't malabsorb protein. You absorb your protein just fine. It's not a malabsorption procedure. But the surgeries that they were doing a malabsorption procedure. And in the study, they had been telling everybody to eat high protein diets. And yet, the people that weren't doing the high protein diets were basically non-compliant with everything. So they were eating junk food and they were basically not following any of the rules. And so the study showed not that people that eat higher protein diets did better, it's that people that are compliant with their surgeon's recommendations for exercise and diet did better in general. There's another good study that looked at gastric bypass patients versus people that were in a medically supervised weight loss program for 1 year. And 1 year out, the gastric bypass people lost more weight. You got to know that's going to be the case. The gastric bypass is very effective. We give you a tiny little stomach. We alternate some of the hormones in your body so that you're not as hungry anymore. And so people ate less weight. People ate less calories and lost more weight. But here's the thing they found when they started looking at what people were eating. The gastric bypass people were eating a really bad diet. They were getting very little fiber, very little micronutrients, and were surviving on a lot higher fat because they were trying to get in their protein. And so you could imagine, and what we see is that a few years out from weight loss surgery, we start to see problems. We start to see people that don't look healthy, that aren't healthy, that might still get the surgery is very effective at treating metabolic diseases, but we still see people that get insulin resistance and diabetes back. And people start gaining back weight, which is what you should expect if you're gonna eat what you've always eaten, you're gonna get what you've always gotten. Even if it is a little bit less, your body slows its metabolism, you're able to eat a little bit more as time goes on, and you start getting these problems. And so in Proteinaholic, I went through all the data that shows that it does not matter what your percentage of macronutrients are. You're gonna hear there's this whole movement out there, if it fits your macros, and that all you need to do is follow a certain macronutrient, and it doesn't matter what you eat. If you eat a certain percentage carbs, a certain percentage fat, a certain percentage of protein, you're gonna lose weight. They have studied this over and over, and I list all the different publications in Proteinaholic, and you will see when you look in there that, in fact, it doesn't make a difference so long as your calorie levels are lower. So what we need to do is understand that it's not the macronutrient that matters, it's the actual food that matters. And we need food that's gonna fill up your pouch and make you feel full. And what is that? Well, fiber, what we call volumetric eating. Fiber helps you feel full, it helps slow sugar absorption, and has very good satiety. There was a really good study where they had people eat different foods, and one of the most satiety-inducing food was actually a potato. And so I teach my patients a diet completely different than what most bariatric surgery patients are taught. And my diet is a whole food plant-based diet. Now, there's caveats to this. The first few weeks to few months after surgery, you do need protein because you're at a huge calorie deficit. Most people don't even get 40 grams of protein. And as you know, for a man, you need to get at least 56, and for a woman, 46. And so we do get protein deficient patients in the beginning. No untoward effects. I mean, people recover from this. But if you want to maintain lean body mass. There have been some studies out of McMaster University looking at people that were lifting weights, albeit and on a calorie deficient diet, and those that had a higher percentage protein did gain more muscle mass. And so I do think it's important to get higher protein for the first 6 months, and then I just stopped talking about protein after 6 months. After 6 months, I start focusing on where are you getting your fiber. But people ask me, what specific diet do I tell my patients? Is there a certain diet? Is there a specific diet? No. I teach them the exact same diet that I teach everybody. I use the 21-day Kickstart program out of PCRM. We give recommendations for meals that are what I give on my Facebook page. And so a typical breakfast would be oatmeal and berries. A typical lunch would be a small salad and a bean soup or a sweet potato with beans on it. Dinner could be a vegetable stir fry. I do emphasize use of tofu because tofu goes down really easy in weight loss surgery patients and is a very good source of protein. No, tofu does not cause cancer, quite the opposite. No, tofu will not cause you to have breasts. Otherwise, I would be wearing a bra because I eat a lot of tofu. And I haven't had any problem with that, and you're not going to see any problem with that. And we definitely focus on legume consumption. Beans are a really great source of multiple nutrients, very filling and perfect for our patients postoperatively. I follow all my patients' labs postoperatively, which is really important. So I would see if there was any protein deficiencies, and I would see if there's any nutrient deficiencies. And actually, my patients typically don't go vegan. That's not what we push. Again, I've said this multiple times, but vegan is an ethic. We teach a whole food plant-based diet, which means that I want predominantly for them to eat fruits and vegetables, but there can be some meat and dairy mixed in. But I found that my patients that really get it, that really go vegan, are my best patients. These are the patients that just knock the ball out of the ballpark and do absolutely fantastic. But my point around all of this is that there's no special diet for bariatric patients going on a plant-based diet. You could go on the same plant-based diet that other people are going on. I wouldn't recommend a raw fruitarian diet. I would just recommend a whole food plant-based diet where you're getting lots of varied fruits and vegetables in your diet, that you're focusing on some legumes, and that you're allowing things like tofu into the diet so you could get some good sources of that dreaded word protein, but you do need to get some protein in your diet, and you'll get it through those sources. But I like I've said a million times, I do see protein deficiencies in the first 6 months, as whether people are meat eaters or not, you see that. But after that, protein deficiency is a very rare thing, and people by a year are eating normal amounts of protein, and you could easily get 50 grams of protein in a plant-based diet and be absolutely adequate. And like I've said, there's no good science on this, but my personal experience and very wide experience is that people that focus on a plant-based diet after surgery tend to do far better than those that are trying to stuff protein down their mouth, and in so doing, eating a very unhealthy diet. Hope that helps.